Wagga Wagga in the 1950s was a vibrant and burgeoning city. Its paper, the Daily Advertiser, brought people the news in a time before the cult of television came to the country town. In 1955, a photographer named Tom Lennon began working for the Advertiser. He was a unique and eccentric man whose photography and character was to become a fundamental part of Wagga's lifestyle through the 50s and 60s.
Tom was very much a craftsman, and I think that for those of us who have no idea how to press a shutter or imagine what we're going to get from it, Tom could focus on a subject. He knew what he wanted, and if he didn't get it, he had the means of getting people to rearrange them, but he would have had a mind's eye of just how he wanted that photo posed, whether it was a still or a movie.
Well, as a photographer on a newspaper, you're telling the story. People look at the pictures first, then they read the story. As a photographer, his role was very important to tell the story of this region.
Tom's legacy as a photographer is preserved in a collection at the Charles Sturt University Regional Archives in Wagga. These photos contain a unique and vibrant history of the Riverina and also of Tom himself. Also contained in the collection is over 3 hours of 16mm film. This film comes from a wide variety of venues. Tom would juggle several cameras while on the job, taking photos for the Advertiser and shooting film for his own collection.
The Tom Lennon collection is very significant because of the lifestyle he portrayed in the 1950s and 1960s, a lifestyle that you wouldn't see today. The 1950s and 1960s was a time when the population in Wagga was increasing rapidly. The Wagga itself was expanding rapidly to the north and south, but particularly to the south. You had the new suburbs of Coringal, Mount Austin. You had Lake Albert was becoming a suburb rather than a little village on the outskirts. And then in the 1960s, Ashmont became a suburb, and Tom documented all of this, and it's important to have this record.
Tom was born in Drummoyne in Sydney in 1908. He was educated at St Joseph's in North Sydney and was later accepted into the North Sydney School of Art. During the Second World War, Tom worked with Amalgamated Wireless Australasia, where he became a first-class machinist. This education and training gave Tom a very broad knowledge of the process of photography, from framing correctly and setting up his shot to developing the photos. In the archival collection, there are several books written by Tom. These consist of the processes and production of photographs. Tom's knowledge of chemicals for use in the darkroom seems limitless, as page after page consists of different recipes for processing and finishing photographs. Tom was always on site to record the events of the time with both his cameras, his still and his film camera, often moving from one to the other quickly or passing off his film camera to someone standing nearby so that they could film while Tom took photos.
Quite frequently you'd go out on a job with him, a major job, and not only would he have his camera gear, which is a lot heavier than we know today, not only would he have that, but he'd have his film camera as well, his movie film camera with him. And sometimes I think he was probably more concerned about getting his movie film shots that the newspaper which he was working for came second. He always got the photo. He's always got the photo. He's probably like the good policeman who got his man in the end. But sometimes I think he was more concerned about getting that movie film.
Tom began work for the Daily Advertiser in early 1955 after moving to Wagga from Sydney. He worked for the Advertiser for around 20 years until the mid-1970s.
Tom always, I don't know whether he owned a watch. If he did, he certainly didn't use it very much. His main aim always was to produce what he considered to be the best photo. He would argue till the cat's Cows came home against a sub-editor who thought one picture was better than the other.
Tom lived in Wagga in a shed full of his photos and equipment and his dogs and goats. After his death, thousands of photographic prints and negatives and hours of 16mm film were found in his shed, along with books, newspaper clippings and notes. These resources provide a priceless look not only at the life and work of Tom Lennon, but at the town of Wagga Wagga 50 years ago. Among